Hello everyone, welcome back to another brilliant in-game study that I've made. And in this position, black is basically up a full pawn and a bishop. And some of white's pawns are rather close to promotion, but which pawn do push? The H pawn, the G pawn, or the F pawn? And pushing the H pawn is a big blunder, because after G takes recapture, black can play bishop to E4, and this stops the pawn from actually promoting. And so instead, in the starting position, white must play the brilliant move f5. And if white plays g6, then after the recapture, white cannot push any of his pawns. And this position is basically frozen for white, and black will eventually win a slow but surely winning endgame. And he can actually play bishop to e4 to win this pawn. And so the move f5, because after e takes f5, white now can play h6, because after the recapture, black cannot prevent the pawn from promoting, like in the last variation. And so in this position, the best thing for black to do is to not immediately take back, and it's to actually play bishop to e4. And here there's actually two best moves for white, and one of them actually loses, and it's quite interesting, so I'll show you later. But the winning move is actually g6, and if black tries to freeze the position with something like f6, then simply e takes, and these pawns are too powerful for the bishop, and nobody can stop one or both of them from promoting. And so the best move is to play f takes g6. And your instincts might tell you to play f takes or h takes the pawn, but like last time, this position is just winning for black, since white cannot make any progress with any of his pawns. And so white must play h6 or f6, sacrificing another pawn. So after f6, the best thing for black to do is, if he recaptures, then this time white can play e takes, and white cannot play h6 because, well, this is still technically winning, but it's probably just slower since black can take and probably play something like g5. Well, he can't now since this is just winning again for white. So I don't know what I'm talking about clearly, but this is completely winning, and there's no good way for black. Well, it's actually impossible to stop one of these pawns from promoting. And now I'll show you the other line. So before I get to the other line, I'll show you what happens if black pushes any of his pawns. Let's say gf or even a d-pawn. So first let's start with the d-pawn. If black plays d6, white can just capture the pawn. And the best thing to do is king to b7, and white must not push his pawn, and instead play h6, because after the take, white's pawn is in the way, so black's gonna waste a tempo trying to get to the pawn, and white will just promote. So this isn't possible, and instead, if black plays f6, then simply capture. And after black recaptures, this is just completely winning, and there isn't any good ways. And again, it's basically impossible to stop one or both of these pawns, even maybe the f pawn from promoting. And if black finally plays g6, then simply h takes, and after f takes, white must play f6, and again white is winning. And here white probably cannot play this because bishop e4, and if white just pushes, then actually bishop to h7 just wins. And you might say g6, but simply bishop to g8, and white's pawns are blocked and they cannot make any forward progress at all. So I found this cool variation where the engine gives a best move even though it's losing after f5. So the line goes f5, bishop to e4, and f6. And even though it says best move, don't be fooled, because the engine is setting up an illusion and it's actually not a good move, and it leads black to victory because black can play bishop to h7, and this is completely winning for black. And it's also the only winning move, so if black plays something like g6, then white can push this pawn, and nobody can stop it. And if black takes, then after f takes, these pawns are too powerful for this one bishop. So after bishop to h7, taking this pawn doesn't actually do anything, because after something like king b7, white can try to play g6, but this will just simply result in the other position that I've shown you earlier. And the best thing here is to play g6, which black will simply respond with bishop back to g8. Since taking this pawn allows, let's see, g takes not this, but f7, and the pawn's unstoppable. And if g takes, then white takes the bishop. So after bishop back to g8, the best thing I'm pretty sure to do is to take this pawn. Because if black takes, then black cannot take this pawn since white will promote, but black will just go back, and black will plant the bishop on h7, stopping both of white's pawns. And if white takes the g7 pawn, then simply we'll arrive at the same position again, and this is just completely winning for black. So the move f6 should actually be a blunder, but the engine's setting up illusions, and it happens all the time. And this will be it for today. I hope you enjoyed this brilliant composition that I've made, and I'll see you all in my next video.